Hi, and welcome to the module on feminist ethics. Feminist ethics is kind of grows out of the feminist movement in the 1800s. The 1800s, feminism is really kind of concerned with just women's rights to vote and to determine their own livelihoods and things like that. And so it leads to that kind of first movement. And then eventually feminism begins to realize, like, we've gotten the right to go to school, we've gotten the right to vote, but most women end up at home because, they get pregnant and they don't get any maternity leave. They don't get paid as well as men. They can't control their own reproductive capacity. If they're in a relationship, they have children, they can't control the fact. And so all these become issues. And so they begin to fight for equal pay, access to birth control, equal opportunities, maternity leave, things like that. And that's kind of more like the 1960s and 70s. And eventually, around the 90s, early 90s, late 80s, ethics or feminism begins to realize that women, because they had for centuries been caretakers, been the ones who took care of the kids, took care of their spouses, took care of the home, took care of their aging parents, they were caretakers, that they approach the world very differently than men. And men oftentimes are the people who were outside the home, and they are worried about their rights. They're worried about their opportunities. They're worried about a level playing field, things like that. But they are not necessarily concerned with relationships and those they caretake for and what their responsibilities to those they are. And so they like what basically feminism ethics says is we need to take an ethical perspective that just isn't a white male perspective and take a perspective that is more aligned with the feminine experience, the female experience as caretakers, etc. They also recognize that, that's not to pigeonhole all women in one way, but at least to realize that a lot of women feel that the ethical systems don't adequately explain their approach to the world. And there's a lot more to that, but that's what we'll talk about in the lecture. So out of it grows that. We're going to talk about that, how that changes ethics, and how that approaches it. As far as it goes, I do have a longer video lecture. I wrote the lecture beforehand, and then I went off script at times. I sometimes read it. That might look a little weird. I'm sorry. But I did deliver the lecture. It's about 40 minutes. And I would encourage you to watch it and then maybe follow along on the printout and then go back and, if you want to read the printout, that's fine. But I do ask a few questions on the final on the midterm, the module exam that are from the video that I may not have mentioned just because I started thinking about examples. Not a bunch, maybe one or two. So do that. Of course, in this module, you have an exam. And you also have the discussion board. This will be our last discussion board. Make sure to finish strong on that. My reason for that discussion board being last is I want you to do the last unit and then focus on the final because it's all going to come up really quick here at the end. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoy this unit.